right, we are moving on to our last unit, transformations. Our big idea, describing shapes and objects, can help us to understand the world and solve problems. Our concept for today is a type of transformation called a translation, also called a slide. When a shape moves along a straight line without turning, it is translated from one position to another, or it is slid. This movement is a translation or a slide. You should be familiar with both terms for that. When we draw the shape in its new position, we draw the translation image. The image is always the shape after it has been translated. A translation is described by the numbers of squares that it moves right or left and up or down. So here we have our original shape. Here we have our image shape. This would be our translation arrow. It's moved along a straight line, but to describe it, we talk about how many over and how many down. So in this case, we can see that it has moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares to the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4 squares down. If we cannot translate the shape as we think, or in our heads as we think it should be, we can't figure out what's actually occurred there, a good strategy to use is to trace the shape and then actually translate or move the tracing. That is a good strategy, and we'll show you a video about that in a moment. The translation is often shown with an arrow. It shows how the shape moved. The arrow usually joins matching points on the shape or the image. A shape and its translation image have the same orientation. That means they are facing the same direction. They should not be facing a different direction. So now to practice, let's just examine these pictures and see which ones do you think could be a translation, and if it is, how would you describe that translation? Press pause and take a moment now to try that. All right, let's start by picking one corner and finding the same corner on that other shape and drawing a line. Is it a straight line? Yes, it is. This is a translation. How would you describe this translation? Well, to describe this translation, you would have to discuss how many in squares in each direction. So 1, 2, 3 squares to the left and 1, 2 squares up. We always need to make sure that we are picking the exact same corner or the vertice on the shape and the image when we are describing our translation. If you take a look at B, we can automatically see that this is not a translation because they are not facing the same way. C, let's check. Is that a translation? Well, they are facing the same way, so there's a possibility. So again, let's pick one corner and the same corner on the other shape. Draw a line between them. Yes, it is a straight line. This is a translation. And in this case, it's only going one direction. I'm going to, and I mean, I could say this is my original image, the top image, and then go down to my below image, because it doesn't clearly indicate which is the original and which is the image here. So I'm going to assume my top one was my original. 1, 2, 3 down. If you assume the bottom one was your original image, then it would be 3 up. Taking a look at this very last one, they are not facing the same way, so this is also not a translation. All right, now you're going to try to translate an image. So you're going to, on grid paper, copy shape A, and you're going to translate it 3 spaces to the right. When you are translating, don't worry about writing these other shapes. Don't do those ones yet. Those will come in a later lesson when you do reflections and rotations. So just the translation. Go ahead and copy that one on grid paper. Make sure you number it like you see it numbered here. Make sure you place it on the right spot. So you can see here this one is 2 over and 1 up for this vertex. 2 over and 3 up for this corner. 5 over and 1 up for this corner, 5 over and 2 up for this corner, 4 over and 2 up for this corner. And really, once you have one point, you can draw the rest of the shape quite easily. This one is 3 long, it's 1 high, it's 1 in, it's 1 up, it's 2 long, and so on. Take this image and translate it 3 spaces to the right, drawing your new image. Press pause and try that now. All right, at this point we're going to watch the video of the drawing of the translation and see if you did it the same way. All right, so we're going to do our translation first, or our slide. I have my grid paper and I've got it numbered to 12 on the bottom and 8 on the side, and so I'm going to place my original shape for A, and I can see that my one vertex is 2 over and 1 up. And then my other vertex on the bottom is 5 over and 1 up. 2 over and 3 up is my next vertex. Just going to darken my lines here. I can see here it's 2 squares over, 1 down, 1 over, and 1 down. So this is my original image for A. Now it's asked me to translate this hexagon 3 spaces to the right. So I'm going to move it 3 spaces to the right. I'm going to pick one vertex to focus on and work with that one. I'm going to choose this vertex. So moving this vertex 3 spaces to the right. 1, 2, 3. Here's my new corner for that one. I can see here that it's 3 squares long. So I'm going to go 3 squares long. 2 squares high here. So also 2 squares high here. 2 squares across here, so 2 squares across here, 1 down, and then 1 across, and then 1 down. So this is my translated image. When it's translated or reflected or rotated, when it's the second image, it has 1 line there. And this is what your translated image should look like. All right, at this point you are on to your concept practice. You are practicing drawing and describing translations or slides. Math Makes Sense, page 298, 299, numbers 1, 2, and 3. Remember, as you're working, if you have any questions whatsoever, that you ask.